Hi, I'm Attorney Mark Mandell with the law firm of Fausone Bohn. I specialize in criminal defense work located here in Northville, Michigan. I cover across the state of Michigan on criminal matters, felonies, misdemeanors, and in some respect, civil infractions. But with that said, today I want to introduce my associate, Brandon Grysko. Excellent attorney, focuses predominantly in business law and labor law and estate planning. But Brandon comes to us today with some great background because before he decided to become an attorney, he was a local police officer. And I want to focus today's episode on exactly what police officers are looking for when they pull somebody over for suspicion of drunk driving.
Happy to be here, Mark, and thanks for having me. And yeah, I did spend about 6 to 7 years as a police officer before becoming an attorney. So.
All right, Brandon. In the big picture, there's really two legal standards that set out how a police officer can pull you over. And one would be probable cause, and the other one would be reasonable suspicion. I'd be curious, first and foremost, when it comes to driving behind a car and specific observations you would be looking for if you thought you were looking for somebody that was drinking and driving.
Sure, so there's a couple different things that could come into play with this. And I think we just all need to keep in mind that there are certain things that are indicative of people that are intoxicated while behind the wheel. And some of those things that we all sort of know to look for, but also that police officers are trained to look for, are things like people that are driving too slow for the conditions. Folks that may be weaving within their lane, maybe not exactly crossing the line, but also not maintaining a straight path of travel. Things like that can all be indicators of potential drunk driving.
And there's some irony, isn't there, as it relates to the driving too slow, because usually when you talk to people about how maybe their drunk driving occurred or something like that, they're all very conscientious of like, I didn't want to be speeding or something to that effect. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, that's right. And a lot of people don't want to get caught speeding, so they think the slower they drive, the less likely they are to get pulled over. But especially in the wee hours of the morning, that can be something that actually gets you pulled over.
All right, and as a former police officer, based upon those types of observations, which I think we'd both agree are observations that would be indicative of somebody operating the car while intoxicated, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Through your training, was there any specific emphasis on hey, you should be a little more alert when the sun goes down and it's evening as opposed to 9 in the morning in rush hour?
I think generally speaking, in a lot of situations, we saw more traditional drunk drivers sort of at nighttime and in the early hours of the morning and things of that nature. But nowadays, especially with drugged driving, we've really seen an uptick in those types of cases at any time of the day potentially. Mm-hmm. But I think generally speaking, it's a higher alert for the evening hours and the times when bars would be letting out and things like that.
Okay. Separate from what we just discussed as it relates to that, signs of intoxication while you're driving the car, I would probably say it seems to me that at least 50% of the people that call me and have been arrested for drunk driving, they often weren't pulled over for observations of intoxication, but for other reasons. And those other reasons are usually some form of civil infraction or driving misdemeanor. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
So no matter what reason you get pulled over for, if you get pulled over, it could be for a speeding ticket, it could be for expired plates. It could be because the registered owner of the vehicle maybe has a warrant, or because a similar looking vehicle is wanted in a crime across town that your car may not have even been involved in. But when you do get pulled over, if an officer observes the signs of intoxication after the fact of the stop, then that's going to trigger a drunk driving investigation, just the same as if you were pulled over for swerving or weaving or something like that.
All right. And so it could be expired plates?
Could be anything.
Right. And when a police officer is following behind any car for that matter, people will always ask me, do they have a right to run my license plate? And do they? And do police officers just get behind cars and run plates?
Sure. So there's actually case law in Michigan that supports the idea that your license plate information is public record. So there's really no expectation of privacy as it pertains to your license plate. So police officers can simply sit at a red light and then run the plate of the car in front of them and potentially use that information to effectuate a traffic stop.
Well, thanks, Brandon. That's been great. And as I said, and I'm sure you'd agree with me, that pretty much encompasses the two definitions of how you could be pulled over legally, which would be probable cause and or reasonable suspicion. If you have any questions at the end of the video, My Facebook site will pop up. Contact information. Feel free to reach out and contact me, and I'd answer any of your questions. The best way not to ever be in this situation is to not drink and drive, or for that matter, drink responsibly prior to driving. With that said, the next episode will actually be dealing with what occurs, Brandon, once you approach the car and now conduct field sobriety tests.
Looking forward to it. Stay safe, everyone.
All right. Thank you very much.